With the election winding down and it being basically clear that Joe Biden's going to be the new president-elect and the new president come January 20th of next year, lots of people are talking about the repercussions of getting Trump out of office, okay? What this means for people, what it means for working class Americans, what it means for women, what it means for immigrants and other racial, religious, and ethnic minorities in the country. What does this all mean for them? What is it going to culminate into? Well, a lot of people like me are saying we're going to be returning to normal. We're going to be returning to normal, a return to normalcy. That classic idea of returning back from wherever we were before. In this case, a pretty bad path the country was on, to normal. But what does normal mean? What is normal? Well, normal for a lot of people was not being able to pay for a $400 emergency. Normal for a lot of people was was having to choose between your pills or your water. You know, normal for a lot of people was racism. Having to face systemic racism on a daily basis, having to face racial prejudice or religious prejudice on a daily basis. That's what normal was to a lot of people. And is that good? I don't really think so. And lots of people are praising this new return to normalcy. You know, you don't have to doom scroll through Twitter anymore and think about all the things of this and that. You don't have to look at Donald Trump Jr. anymore. You don't have to worry about what drunken rampage Rudy Giuliani has gone on. You don't have to worry about some crazy headline about the country falling apart and Trump golfing anymore. You don't have to worry about that. But for a lot of people who aren't, lots of them not on Twitter, and lots of them who are still struggling and will be struggling, they don't have to doom scroll through Twitter, because their doom scrolling is waking up in the morning. That's their doom scrolling. That's the world that they live in. They don't live on your Twitter feed. They live out in the real world, and their life is what it will be after Trump's removal. Their life is going to be poor people getting their tents firebombed because elected officials are fear-mongering that poor people are the ones destroying communities and leaving drug-infested needles everywhere and a diseasing place, and the worst crime of all, devaluing property prices. Oh, the humanity, the property prices. Oh, the property value. Someone think of the property value. That's returning to normal for a lot of people. And an organizer in I believe Georgia, an organizer in DC, a protester in DC talked about returning to normal and what it meant for her. And I think she can say it in better words than I can.
Commentator on CNN said, maybe you could finally get back to normal. And when I hear things like maybe we could finally get back to normal, I think, what was your normal? What was normal for you? Because when Barack Obama was the president, I was marching for Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner, fresh out of college. So it's like, what was your normal? It was never okay. We had people calling the first lady a monkey. Is that the normal we're talking about? Is that what we're going back to? I'm confused. I don't understand.
I am confused. I don't understand. What is that supposed to mean? You're happy to be returning to normal. Well, for them, their lives return to normal. They don't have to feel like the country is that bad anymore. Well, in reality, Trump obviously made the country worse, but the underlying problems that he exacerbated aren't going away. They're just going to stop being so inflamed. That's different to it being normal. If you have like a massive gash in your arm or something, like you're missing flesh or something, you fell out of a moving car and you have like a bunch of like flesh taken off of your skin, taken off of your arm, and now this is normal, right? And then you get an infection and now it's worse. Well, you take antibiotics, you get the infection away, but you still have this massive gash on your arm. That's your new normal. That's not good. That's still a problem. We need better than normal. We don't need normal. We need better than normal. And you can see a lot of anchors, especially on CNN, these wealthy news anchors talking about from tens of millions of our fellow Americans, their long national nightmare is over.
Divisions. Many of the divisions caused and exacerbated by President Trump himself. It's been a time of several significant and utterly avoidable failures. Most tragically, of course, the unwillingness to respect facts and science and do everything that can be done to save lives during a pandemic. It has been a time where truth and fact were treated with disdain. It is a time of cruelty where official inhumanity, such as child separation, became the official shameful policy of the United States. But now the Trump presidency is coming to an end. To an end. With so many squandered opportunities and ruined potential, but also an era of just plain meanness. It must be said, to paraphrase President Ford, for tens of millions of our fellow Americans, their long national nightmare is over.
I don't really believe that. I don't really believe their nightmare is over. Honestly, it's still continuing for tens of millions of Americans around this country. If for lots of people, their nightmare was just doom scrolling through Twitter and being up at night worrying about the new day's news cycle, where every day was a scandal and news cycle. Just because this isn't a scandal doesn't mean there's not the real scandal underlying. No matter how many people Trump paid off for being his cum dump for the night, the real scandal is the millions of Americans who won't be able to put food on their table. And those problems persisted before Trump. You want to talk about barbaric and savage and just plain old mean policies? How about the existence of ICE themselves busting in the homes of hardworking people in this country who only want to make a living to feed their family and deporting them to countries where they don't even know didn't even grow up in. America's the only country they knew. How about them? How about ICE? How about the general Republicans who are still controlling, I believe, over half the states in this country right now? How about their national terror? How about during the earlier this year during the pandemic, in the western half of the country, places like Idaho and Utah, instead of dealing with the pandemic crisis, they were passing laws to bar transgender people from using the bathroom that they want. That's unironically what was happening. What about that national nightmare? Really? I think the national nightmare is the wealth disparity in this country. That's not going to be fixed with Biden. I mean, he could probably make some moves towards it, but the underlying problems with people in the separation of wealth and reality, and between the wealth in this country, the dreams that they have, and living just a normal civilized lifestyle, that gap will not be closed with the removal of Donald Trump. And I mean, just look at this. America had a huge buff today. Patch notes below. Dignity 100, racism -100. Introduce a new feature called science. Whoa! Removing lying from the game. It felt too effective. Wow, removing lying. No one lies anymore. That's incredible. Lying. Why is this guy typing in the form of a freaking Reddit meme? Racism -100, dignity +100, lying -100. What's happening right now? This is ridiculous. Add hope. Where's the hope for people for whom Biden said that when it comes to the wealthiest Americans in this country, nothing will fundamentally change? We need something to fundamentally change the way our country is run, to give them hope, to give them dignity, to talk about science. You want to talk about science? How about let's talk about how Biden's plan to combat climate change is 20 years late. How about that? And then it's still conservative. How about that? You want to talk about science? He doesn't go far enough to stop, to help stop climate change, which will destroy human civilization and lead to another great extinction on this planet. You want to talk about science? You want to talk about science? All right. And look at this. It even goes in even further than that. Look at Van Jones crying on national TV about.
Gonna be happier to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason.
And I'm not going to make fun of him for feeling good about the people who are going to be helped by a Biden administration. We can rail on the Republicans and Biden, the Democrats and Biden and this and that and all the time. But we should always fundamentally understand that the Democrats will be far better than Republicans when it comes to governing. But that doesn't mean that they're good. And that doesn't mean that I should be jovial the idea that they're going to be in office. Okay, the meme of the jubilation of Trump leaving office quickly nixed by the realization that Joe Biden's going to be leading the nation is not fake. That's not fake. And dog, what do you honestly? You're right. What are you crying for, dude? Yeah, what are you crying for, Chief? What's this about, huh? What's this about? Listen, you can be a political commentator. You can do all you want. All right. I don't care how big I get. You will not find me with you will have to Photoshop and Facetune and freaking deep fake your way to find me having with a picture with Candace Owens. Okay. What is this? My man's crying. My man's sitting here smiling and reaching across the aisle to the people who led to someone like Donald Trump and crying about him being in office. This is ridiculous. This is the hypocrisy of the liberal idea of how politics works. You know, this is just incredible to me. Mind you, look at this picture again. Ooh, who's that? Who's that handing the pen to Donald J. Trump? Who's that? That is Van Jones once again sitting in the Oval Office with Donald Trump about to sign some new paperwork. Hey, isn't that amazing? Ain't that about a bitch, isn't it? We defeated racism. Ooh, racism is gone. It's absolutely not gone. As I said before in a video, it's like they said they thought they chopped the head off of a dragon. They chopped the head off of a hydra, and it sprouted 2 more heads. It's just more rampant, and it's more underground now. Okay, and that doesn't make it worse. I'm just saying that we now have more problems to worry about, and add that onto the top of how Democrats are saying that we defeated racism and fascism while going on and spitting in the face of black and brown organizers across this country who basically handed the victory to Joe Biden this election cycle is ridiculous. We'll get into that in another into another segment, but it's absolutely not gone. This is absolutely ridiculous for millions of Americans and billions of people around this country who are going to be affected by the United States foreign policy and even some domestic policy. The nightmare is not over. It's still continuing, and we need radical change in this country to really fix it.